All right, Jason. Well, it's so nice to have you over here.
Yes.
I'd love to know your experience like becoming a Hashbranch customer. What was it like researching mining? What was it like jumping into the actual experience of investing for your first time? What were you thinking about when first being introduced to mining opportunities?
The first thing I battled was do I just buy it, right? Or do I actually go out and mine it? I love math. I love numbers, statistics. So I got to my spreadsheets and I realized very quickly that I could do some dollar cost averaging to really end up around a pretty decent spot per token long term with this. So then I began to say, okay, what is the financial viability of this long term? Where do I believe crypto and Bitcoin in particular is going to be going? And I'm very bullish on that. So then I dove into who can help me do this.
Okay.
Because this isn't something like I'm going to go buy a bunch of miners and put it in my garage or anything along those lines. I'm thinking, okay, I need a real operation to do this. So I just started searching. And there are others that do mining out there. But there was one thing all of them were really missing. That's the one thing that you guys brought to the table and really pushed Hashbranch over the edge for me was the human element.
Love that.
I mean, I had others. I'm not going to name competitors' names, but I had sales calls. And again, this was humbly speaking, a decent sized order, I feel, at least for our family it was.
Absolutely.
Right? Now, I'm sure you have much larger customers than us. But for us, it was a large order. And I had sales calls and some of the sales guys and gals wouldn't even turn their camera on.
That's tough.
Right? Or we were dealing with mining facilities. I can't make this up. Like one was in Russia. And the other one was they just said Africa. They didn't say where in Africa.
It's going to be a little challenge.
Exactly. Right. And what is, especially you look at mining in Russia, like I couldn't even imagine. The prices were great, but what was the uptime going to really be on that? Because I realized just the different levers that need to happen here. It's not only we can focus so much on the cost of the hardware and you could get caught up on that. But I also had to look at the cost of the power, the uptime related to that. And one thing that the Hashbranch team did so well is I'm a man that asks a lot of questions. We must have had 3 or 4 sales calls until I was really sold and had those questions answered. But I also had to look at the cost of the power, the uptime related to that. Hey, Jason, your math is wrong here because it's actually more like this. And you can end up saving here. And that's what really kind of pushed you guys over the edge for us. You also have great reviews. I know, you great reviews out there. I know you started helping review mining facilities and everything else, and you yourself now have amazing reviews on the hosting side and everything else. So for me, it was also the one-stop shop.
Perfect.
I did not need to be sourcing miners in China and then trying to find a place to put them and then trying to negotiate electricity. Like I just wanted one place to go to and have it all really come together.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And so during this like exploration opportunity, discovery opportunity, what was your long-term goal? You said something along the lines of DCAing and like being able to get Bitcoin on a daily basis. Can you talk more about that strategy?
Yeah, I'm not looking to build a digital asset treasury company by any means. I'm looking to hedge our investments. I believe in diversification.
Perfect.
And I believe Bitcoin is an amazing way to diversify our corporate balance sheet from that standpoint. I also looked at it from a tax standpoint. I'm always looking for great ways to reduce a tax burden and everything else. And that upfront hardware cost, at this time, we realized bonus depreciation was coming back to 100% among some other tax benefits. And you guys were awesome at helping with that. I'm not a CPA by any means, but it was very helpful to talk through some of that structure as well. But yeah, I saw it as an alternative investment for us, was what it really came down to.
Understood. We have a lot of clients that are able to focus on this as a secondary and tertiary investment. And so we know it's a great opportunity in front of us.
Right.
And we're really happy to have you as a client over here. And I know tomorrow we're actually going to go and check out that mining facility. When you found Hashbranch, what was your first experience interacting with the team and that really got you excited to deploy capital through our platform?
Well, I know you can't promise this to everybody, but literally the day I submitted a request, we had a sales call that day.
Okay.
Like it was very, very fast. And I was very impressed by that. Again, like I said, I come with a lot of questions when you're investing this kind of money. And unfortunately, crypto has this stereotype about it. You guys did such a good job of building that trust layer again. And that was really, really important to me to kind of have that sense of security in this, because it was unfamiliar to me. It was unfamiliar to my wife, right? Sort of thinking like, is this the right way to deploy capital? And based on my research, it was. And you and your sales team really just worked very hard to push that over the edge. And look, now we're here, doing all this together.
I'm so happy to hear that. From the time you invested, what was your experience like until you got your ASICs deployed? How was communication? How was expectation setting? How did you feel through that process until you had hash rate come online? And talk us through like what your experience was, because it was a significant deployment.
Sure.
And so there's probably a lot of feelings and expectations set beforehand and trying to go through the process.
Oh yeah. The Hashbranch team did an amazing job. I remember I sent the wire. And I remember telling my wife, hey, I just sent this amount of money. She goes, and you're sure about this, right, Jason? I'm like, yes, I'm sure about it. And your team was literally texting me. And I realized that's not scalable. You can't text every single client. But it was very nice to say like, hey, they've shipped. Hey, I actually found some units that are US, they're stateside, right? So it arrived on the pallets sooner. I got pictures of the pallets. I didn't really know what I was looking at, but it like made me feel better just to see this logical process. I got set up in my dashboard. And I was literally like, I probably shouldn't have been doing this. I tell our Moolah customers not to refresh their Moolah app every day, but I was on my Hashbranch dashboard, like refreshing, like, 2 are up online now, 10 are online now, right? And just like watching. It was very, very fun. I do check it every day now just to kind of watch and everything else.
It's an investment, absolutely.
It is an investment, right? And it was great. The whole time frame, I'd say from sending the wire to seeing the first little bit of hash come through was probably about 30 days. I'd have to look exactly. Maybe it was a little bit sooner than that, but I was really, really thankful for the hand holding along the journey. Like I was able to maintain my confidence in this investment throughout the entire process and learned a lot too. Like even setting up a cold wallet, like you guys had documentation on that. Like it was very, very nice to kind of see this along the journey.
So happy to hear. And what were some of the things you had fears of before investing the capital? I'm sure you'd done some research. I'm sure you were trying to identify the best strategies to invest. What were some of the things you were afraid about before actually saying yes to Hashbranch and deploying the capital?
Fears were getting locked into long time contracts and everything else. That was one thing you guys handled very, very gracefully and well. One thing yourself and your team always made very clear, like these are your ASICs. Yes. Like if you need to take them up and move them, you could, which is a risk on your part as a business, but it really reassured me like, hey, if this relationship doesn't work out, it's a lot to move, but I could pick it up and move it if I needed to. And you were so clear on that. That was really kind of reassuring from that standpoint as well. You own this hardware. I own this hardware. I mean, that was quite nice to be reassured on that. Because sometimes in these investments, you don't know who really owns what and is doing what.
Were you ever curious about custody as well?
I was familiar with the crypto space.
Sure.
So I kind of understood that. I understand the spreads. I understand how it works. Very familiar with hot, cold wallets, everything else in custody. So that wasn't a new space for me, but it was interesting. I did have questions on when do these payouts happen, right? And what is the right way to do payouts? That was always kind of, you guys were always there to answer the questions, I guess is my point.
I appreciate that. Last thing I wanted to ask you, relative to expectation setting, what were your initial expectations jumping into the discovery phase versus what you hope to get out from what you saw out in the field?
Wow. I'd say I am mining exactly as I forecast, and you helped me forecast on the spreadsheet. I'm talking like if we're looking at 7 decimals, like it's within a pretty decent tolerance of that each and every time.
Appreciate that.
Exceeded uptime, which I'm very, very happy with. A lot of times people say, oh, 98% uptime, and they mean really 97.5. Like, I don't think you've even kissed that, right? Like you've been exceeding on uptime. So good for you and your facilities and everything else for really managing that as well. The other thing is too, in that size of a deployment that we did, you're going to have 1 or 2 units that just are acting up. Like you've always been so transparent. Hey, this one's going back to the factory. This one needed a new hash board. Whatever it is, like I've always been in the loop. I mean, I see it in the dashboard, right? When they're down, I don't always know why, but then you're texting, following up saying, this is what's happening with that particular serial number, whatever it is. So again, I can't say it enough. It's back to that transparency.
Perfect. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the experience, about your deployment, about your investment?
Yeah, we're already talking, as you know, looking at now hydro opportunities, redeployment opportunities. You and I have been talking all day about, what does the future hold in the next 2 years? And that's one thing I'd encourage people to do is ask those hard questions, because you may be thinking, oh, I need the latest, from Antminer, or the latest from this. In reality, like, you guys know this space. And although there were no private deals at the time I was doing that, I know we've shared quite a bit. Like, you get a lot of kind of private placement deals that happen. A lot of somebody just needs to liquidate, whatever it is. These opportunities come up. So I'd encourage people to always kind of just keep asking those questions, because I didn't feel ever that you were trying to make money on the hardware. I feel like you were genuinely trying to put us in the best hardware for a long-term relationship.
100%. So Jason, if you had to tell Hashbranch to any of your friends in 1-2 sentences, how would you communicate that?
I would communicate it as trustworthy, dollar cost averaging on what I believe is the future of Web3 and finance and everything else. I'm going over my sentences. Sorry, I can be verbose sometimes, but it is, you guys really add a trust layer to something that isn't always trustworthy out there. There's a lot of fake actors out there, and you have to be mindful of the humans you're working with. And you guys, I genuinely mean it. Like, your heart is in the right place. You are building customers for life. And that is how you build a sustainable business. So I'm very thankful for you guys bringing a trust layer to what started out as an untrustworthy kind of weird space.
Appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you, Jason.